So my name is Omar Rampersad. It's 2:27 p.m., November 10th, 2019. So I was talking and I was cut off. So this is part two of the talk that I just uploaded. So I was saying in that talk about the step-by-step process um, to dispose of a target. So the stage I'm at right now that started at 25 Bamberg Circle in Toronto when I was flagged and registered with the municipality, no disclosure. I learned about this through being harassed about it at my window, at my door, and in public and in the workplace. I'm a target. And a target is usually somebody under suspicion and somebody to be disposed of. So the community gets together and have meetings, and there are meetings about me in this building, and there are trials run based on what's reported about me. So if somebody reported that I was stealing a ladder or I was picking long beans off their garden, I would be tried on the evidence, quote unquote. Of course, I do not have a voice, and I'm not personally there to defend myself, but somebody will be defending me. Of course, none of this is disclosed, but I hear about it um, through the harassment campaign. And there's going to be a mock trial, and I'll be found guilty or innocent. If I'm found guilty, which of course you're going to be found guilty most of the time, after all, it is a targeting program. I'm disciplined, targets are disciplined. And the way that's done is through harassment, a harassment campaign, public harassment campaign, which is equivalent of stone throwing, verbal stone throwing, and the use of directed energy weapons, which I've documented in the past and I'm still documenting. So if I'm reported to be anxious, or somebody reported that I was too sharp with them, or I'm talking back when I'm not supposed to, it depends. It's subjective. It depends on what the person says. Then the power is turned up. So, and I talked about this before in other videos. Something like an active denial system is used. And according to my research on the YouTube, active denial systems have two components, an electrical component and an RF component, a radio frequency component. So when the comment is made at the window, for instance, that maximum power is going to be used, it means that the electrical component of that technology is going to be turned up. And I've actually documented that. There are days when I put the detector next to my hand and it's 10. Sometimes when I'm sleeping, it's 1. And when I'm in intense pain and really in a lot of discomfort, somewhere in my body or in general, the entire body, the power is turned up sometimes to 2100 over, um, excuse me, over 2100. I've seen it go up to 2122. That does not mean to say that it didn't go higher. It just means that I detected it at the time that it happened to reflect 2122. Of course, when the pain, the intensity of the pain is extreme and I'm about to pass out, that level would be higher. So I'm seeing these symptoms in other people as well. So directed energy weapons are not only being used on targets. I suspect it's being used by criminals and by other elements who have access to this kind of technology on everyone. If you have an argument with somebody who have access to this technology or who can get access to this technology, pay off the gangs who have the technology, pay off whoever, all you need is money. They will target anyone. If you step on somebody's toes who has the technology, access the technology, you can be a target automatically, just like that. So you don't have to be on a list. So of course, pedophiles, sexual predators, who in a lot of instances are very, very rich men who prey on the vulnerable and sometimes not so vulnerable. Um, they have, of course, the money to get access to the technology, so they will. So children is a major group that is being harassed and is being tortured with directed energy weapons to train. And I talked about this before in other videos where the training can take place while you're sleeping. So, and it's not that sophisticated technologies. Let me rephrase that. The technologies are not that sophisticated to get this done. So what they do is they pulse the genitals of the child. Then at the same time, you can remotely pulse pictures and images into the child's brain remotely. And do your own research. This is very, very easily done with laser technology. And they can coordinate the image with the stimulation of the sexual organs. And you can train a child to become whatever you want to become, whatever you want the child become, to become. Um, sorry about that. So if you're customizing, if you're customizing the child to a certain predator, then the person who's doing the training could be the predator, him or herself, and it could be women too. Um, the program and the steps taken to train is refined to the likes of the person, of the predator who has claimed the child. So I was told by someone, a Muslim man, that your body is already claimed. It is already claimed, meaning he was so bold enough to say this to me in a workplace. It is already being claimed, and he was referring to my genital area, not only the body, it. Meaning your vagina is being claimed by this man who was a sexual predator in the workplace. So this is how blatant and open this program has become. And like I said before, I suspect very strongly that people like Bernardo, if not Bernardo himself who did it, people like Bernardo, and I'm sure there are others like him in training, because the people who are training or trying to train me, most likely the same types of people who train people like Bernardo or others like Bernardo who's in the pipelines. I suspect that he was given access to some of the girls that we did not hear about. The two women he actually was accused of and found guilty in a court of doing what he did, I think was just the tip of the iceberg. There were other people that we did not hear about. I suspect that he was trained this way and then given access to the technology to access the girls before he chose them. He accessed the girls to stalk them first because he stalked a lot of women before, and to kidnap them, track them, kidnap them, and to do what he did. I suspect this technology was used, but nobody's talking about it because very, very, very rich men are involved, very powerful people are involved, like in the Epstein's ring. There are many variations of the Epstein's ring, and what I'm talking about and what I'm experiencing in this building right here is one variation of it. It's a remote part of this. It's very possible that the girls who were in Epstein's ring were also chipped and were also remotely accessed and were also remotely customized. Maybe they didn't realize what was going on because the girls were very young, 12 years old. They wouldn't know a thing. Anyway, so that's today's talk. Again, whatever has been reported from 25 Bamberg Circle about me are based on lies, frames, and setups. I am being monitored. Yesterday, going out, I used the side door instead of the elevator to decrease the amount of contact I have with residents in the building because they lie. They would talk to you very nicely in your face, and then they would call up the person with the receipt or the informant with the technology and say, "Oh, she's being too sharp with me," or she, whatever. They make up a lie and then they turn up the power on me. So to avoid that, I used the side door. And yesterday, as I put my hand on the knob of the door to open the door to the stairwell, I could hear a door slam. So I'm suspecting that someone went out immediately before me. And then as I walked out, I put my hand in my bag to take out my pass card because you need a card to get out. Um, so I was standing there maybe for 30 seconds. Um, a Chinese male walked out behind me, one before, one after. So I am being tracked in the building. Of course, this is not news. And then the power was turned up. I went to the post office, came back. I was hit all the way there. I was hit in the store, hit all the way back, and the power was turned up in the building when I came in. And of course, I verbalize what's being done because when I do verbalize, they turn down the power. And there was like a crowd of people in the corridor outside my door, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, going to the garbage bin a million times. You could hear the clang very, very loudly. And there were people walking up and down the corridor and most likely red alerted me again. I turned up the power again. So this is the experiment that's going on at 25 Bamberg Circle as part of, I suspect, a trafficking ring because people like Badr Nizar, was a steward that I'm being harassed about, or else I wouldn't know. This is how I came to know. I think that people like him, and there are others in the area, Chinese, non-Chinese, are buying off this ring that's been operating in this building for years and years and years. And the reason they want to run me out is because I'm exposing it. Again, I have absolutely no contact with the people in the building. They come up to me and make contact. If I do have contact, if they force contact, I am, I interact normally. Um, if they are aggressive with me, I try walking away. However, if they place themselves in a position, in a place where I have no exit and they're harassing me, which doesn't